Om Gyanantimirandasya
Om Gyanantimirandasya
Anjana Shalakaya
Jnanam Shalakaya
Chakshurun Militam Jena
Chakshurunitam Jena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
So as Mataji pointed out, tomorrow we'll be celebrating the Gita Jayanti, Lord Krishna's instructions to Arjuna many thousands of years ago. For us in America, foreign country on the other side of the world, India. But as I have personally experienced, and we have the experience of so many others in this country, great thinkers, and myself, as I travel from college to college and speak to so many students who have either read Bhagavad Gita or tried to interest them to take and read. This is not a text which is limited to India or Hinduism. Far from it. I hope this clears up in a minute or two. I'm going to have somebody else read this for me. So, one such luminary in the West who is very famous in the Catholic tradition, at least, and amongst other Christians, and especially amongst academics, thinkers, social reformers. His name is Thomas Merton. He was a Trappist monk. Trappist means one particular sect of Catholic. Just like we say within Hinduism, we have Shaktas, and we have Shaivites, we have Vaishnavas, like that. So Trappist. And he is known as a mystic. So I wanted to read for you one definition from Wikipedia. What is this mystic? Or mysticism. So mystic is one who has knowledge of, and especially the personal experience of, states of consciousness, that is, levels of being beyond normal human perception, including experience and even communion with the Supreme Being. So this is where Bhagavad Gita emotion doesn't come in, especially this last section there, including the direct experience and communion with the Supreme Being. So, Lord Krishna is speaking the Gita to all of us through Arjuna. Sometimes they have a saying, as every man. Arjuna is every man. He is all of us in a time of need and perplexities. Is that one?
Yes.
Okay. You should just distribute them. There's a few extra copies of this just been made, so if anyone wants to follow, you can do that. So, Krishna is describing to Arjuna not just some words that are meant to be memorized, like we learn so many things, and then we get a degree, and then we put it aside. And we put the diploma on the wall, we get some trophy for some sporting event, nothing like that. But communion with the Supreme means to be supreme, he must be, like Bhagavatam says, first verse, Abhigat Swarat. full of knowledge, and also completely independent. So you just think for a second. If any of us would be fully independent, what would you do? If you could do anything you want, this is God. He does whatever He wants, when He wants, how He wants. So, I would suggest that such a personality, you would find it very difficult to pinpoint or pigeonhole what this person's going to do. He's completely free. He can just do so many outrageous things to our limited context. So, someone is called Krishna, especially the transcendental autocrat. You know what an autocrat is like that. Especially when an autocrat is in charge of the country. There's no democracy. Just what this person wants, whatever his whims are. We've had the experience in recent history, haven't we, in the world of such persons. And they usually haven't been good, but this is transcendental autocrat. This is Krishna. So Krishna's asking the last instruction after he's speaking the whole Gita, he's singing Sarvadhamma Pujasha. Mamekam Shri. Just ultimately, Arjuna, whatever I told you about Dharma, you can discard that. For now, I will present to you the highest Dharma, which is simply whatever I say, whatever my whims you can do. In 1 minute, he could be telling us to do this, next minute he'd be telling us to do that, and then that. And they could be completely opposite. Just like ordinary human people, right? So, and if we think, oh, God must be consistent, like some kind of fixed object, then where's the freedom? And where's the excitement? Where's the adventure of that communion with God? You can do anything you want. And we have to be ready to, like they say, go with the flow. So on one hand, Krishna's asking us to become fixed in being fluid. To be sensitive enough to understand what is he's asking from us from moment to moment. We're fixed in being unfixed, in being open to anything. So, the mystic is said to be someone who has such an experience. And we propose that this is the purpose of Krishna speaking in Bhagavad Gita. So to know Bhagavad Gita means to know Krishna. And to be sensitive to what the Nidhi was. So I wanted to say that eldest University of Gita Jayanti, especially 3 things that we should be thinking about. One is to study and understand Gita. Next thing is to put it into practice in our life. And the third is to share that knowledge with others. As Krishna's asked for the Jew in the 18th chapter. Because if we actually understand the Gita, we will practice it. No question about that. And if we practice it, we will be in such excitement of having this communion with Krishna, that we will not be able to hold it within ourselves. And when you discover something great and fresh and beautiful, you want to tell everyone about it. You want to share it with everyone that you have affection for it. So let me start by reading this now. Or let me start to read this now. And it's a little longer than I thought, but hopefully we will be able to get through most of it. So I should give the context. I mentioned who Thomas Merton is. Now what is this? This is a small essay that he wrote for the first edition of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in the West. Many of you have not seen it. It's a little blue copy with some forewords by Allen Ginsberg, Denise Levertov, and Thomas Merton, who were all three very famous thinkers of the day, very forward thinkers, which people who were waking up to the spiritual pursuit very much honored and looked up to at this time. And it's interesting, this is 1968, when this Gita, Prabhupada's came out. And I'm not exactly sure when he wrote it, probably maybe not too much before it. But it was later on in 68 that he had an untimely death. He was still young. So maybe Krishna just kept him long enough that he could do this service. And even so many, full-time devotees, temple devotees in our ISKCON movement today, they've never heard this before. It's 1968, so maybe they weren't even born. But hopefully you'll find great appreciation for how much wisdom this man had. Even though he's from sacred Christian Catholic tradition, he was so much Vaishnava. He was vegetarian, so many things. He loved the Gita. So he starts. The word Gita means song. Just as in the Bible, the Song of Solomon has traditionally been known as the Song of Songs, because it was interpreted to symbolize the ultimate union of Israel with God in terms of human married love. So the Bhagavad Gita is, for Hinduism, the great, unsurpassed song that finds the secret of human life in the unquestioning surrender to and awareness of Krishna. Now you'll find from this, there's so many, as Prabhupada used to say, hundreds of translations in Bhagavad Gita. So what is the necessity for one more? He writes like this in the preface, Bhagavad Gita as it is. So then he goes on to say, almost every one of them is just presenting the translators or the author's viewpoint. And that means, that viewpoint, most of them, the last thing in their mind is Krishna. That the Bhagavad Gita is meant to become Krishna conscious. Most of these Gitas. But you'll notice here, he even uses the same terms that he's learning from Prabhupada, Krishna consciousness. So this person, he's a Vaishnava. But yet, there are a few things that he says, which I'll point out, that have to be expanded upon and clarified, because they sound like any other impersonalist, Mayavadi, or New Age. So he goes on, while the Vedas provide Hinduism with its basic ideas of cult and sacrifice, And the Upanishads developed its metaphysic of contemplation. So original Vedas, song, hymn, and sacrifice, and Upanishads, metaphysical contemplation. The Bhagavad Gita can be seen as a great treatise on the, quote, active life. Do you see the difference? Vedas, sacrifice to hymns, to the Vedas, Upanishads, is the more philosophical. So what's behind that? That's Krishna's asking Arjuna in chapter 2. Tadigunya Vishya Veda, Nishtaguna Bhavarjuna. Tadigunya Vishya Veda, mainly dealing with the three gunas, the Vedas. Nishtaguna Bhavarjuna, Nirvana Nitasattvasto. Go beyond that and be established in self. Now he's talking about Upanishadic knowledge. Look within. Try to understand what is the meaning behind all of this, these sacrifices of hymns and all these different rituals and do's and do-nots, vidis. What is the purpose behind all that? That is given in the Upanishads. But generally the conclusion is, okay, look within, be contemplative. So Arjuna's arguing this. This is one of the dynamics of the Gita. Should I be active? Should I be inactive? Should I be inactive looking for knowledge, connecting to that part of myself through knowledge? And then Arjuna concludes, to be in knowledge means that I should be inactive. So 2 or 3 times he asks Krishna, can you straighten this out? First you're saying this, and then you're saying that. So there's this tug of war going on between the active side and the contemplative side. So now, Merton says, but it is really something more. For it tends to fuse worship, action, and contemplation in a fulfillment of daily duty which transcends all three by virtue of a higher consciousness. So he's saying all three, what the Vedas are giving, what the Upanishads are giving, plus the action, he's saying it's fusing all three. And then transcending them by virtue of a higher consciousness. And what is that higher consciousness? Acting passively, of being an obedient instrument of a transcendent will. Being an obedient instrument of a transcendent will. Acting passively. So no inaction, acting, but passively. So, not my will but thine, like Jesus says. And what does Arjuna say? It takes to see, tata kuru. Krishna saying it takes to see, tata kuru. And Arjuna answers, Nashka mohas mitir babda fatvasadamanyatuta. It's just me, got the Sunday here. Krishi vajnandapa. So as you said, I will act. So passively acting. Not passive, okay, nothing. I don't do anything. But acting, but submissively, passively, for divine will coming. What is he saying? I will do that. The Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Gita can be seen as the main literary supports for the great religious civilization of India, the oldest surviving culture in the world. The fact that the Gita remains utterly vital today can be judged by the way such great reformers as Mohandas Gandhi and Nanda Bhave both spontaneously based their lives and actions on it, and indeed commented on it in detail for their disciples. The present translation and commentary, meaning Prabhupada's, is another manifestation of the permanent living importance of the Gita. Swami Bhaktivedanta brings to the West a salutary reminder that our highly activistic and one-sided culture is faced with a crisis that may end in self-destruction because it lacks the inner depth of an authentic metaphysical consciousness. Without such depth, our moral and political protestations, we could add to that religious, moral, political, and religious protestations are just so much verbiage, just words. With that authentic metaphysical consciousness, which I begin by saying this is what mystic is. If in the West, God can no longer be experienced as other than, quote, dead. See, at this time, this was the same. Nietzsche said, God is dead. And then Prabhupada went to London, and the reporters were asking him, so what have you come here for, Swamiji? He said, I've come to show you God. But you say God is dead. Now I've come to show you God is living. So Prabhupada used to say, no, your brain is dead. Not God. There was one graffiti on a toilet stall I once saw. It said, God is dead, son John. And then underneath it said, John is dead, son God. So, who wins? So if in the West, God can no longer be experienced as other than dead, it is because of an inner split and self-alienation which have characterized the Western mind in its single-minded dedication to only half of life. That which is exterior, objective, and quantitative. Exterior, objective, and quantitative. The Western mind is becoming single-minded dedication to those things. See? So then we hear about the problems that people have with alienation, you know, like stress and like that, such a high suicide rate amongst the young teenagers and all. What can we expect? There's no connection to the inside, to the self. Completely separated. Because the consciousness is focused on just these extremes. And then if they have any kind of relationships, those relationships are like 3 or 4 words, texting, or Facebook or something. So there's no depth. So this is our world, you know, because we're taught today in the educated circles that everything is just, you can, what's important are things, material energy. We should understand that actually the most important things in life are not things. We actually understand it, we know it. We experience it. We can have all the things we want, and all those toys we want. And still is empty. So this is what's been going on. In 1968 he's writing this. And within 40 years it's gotten 100 times worse. So he's what you call a visionary. The quote, death of God, and the consequent death of genuine moral sense, respect for life, for humanity, value, is expressed the death of an inner subjective quality of life. A quality which in the traditional religions was experienced in terms of God consciousness. Now he qualifies that. Not concentration on an idea or concept of God, still less on an image of God. See, so these two statements we may take a little